In February of 2023, Tori Roloff posted an Instagram update that stopped her followers cold. It was a photo of her husband, Zach Roloff, lying in a hospital bed. The caption read, "Not exactly how we saw our week going. Zachary had emergency shunt revision this morning. It has been a scary 72 hours, but he is doing well and recovering." The post went on to thank the neurosurgeon team that had been caring for Zach, to thank friends and family for prayers and support, and to thank Amy Roloff for taking care of the grandchildren while the emergency unfolded. The fans who saw that post knew immediately that something serious had happened, but many of them did not know until later just how close Zach Roloff had come to losing his life. Tori would later describe it as a near-death experience on their Raising Heights podcast. She would talk about being woken up at 2 a.m. by nurses telling her that her husband was being moved to the ICU. She would talk about fleeing in panic through hospital hallways. She would talk about the kind of fear that you only experience when you think you might be about to lose the person you love most. Zach survived. He recovered. He went home. But the experience left a mark on the entire Roloff family, and it reminded all of us, in the most vivid possible way, that the medical realities of living with achondroplasia dwarfism are not abstract. They are real. They are dangerous. And for Zach Roloff, they have been part of his life since the day he was born. Tonight on LPBW Update, we are walking through Zach Roloff's incredible medical journey. From the childhood surgeries that broke his legs in 3 places to install corrective metal plates, to the brain shunt that has managed his cerebrospinal fluid since he was a child, to the 2023 emergency surgery that nearly cost him everything, and to the way Zach has used his medical story to become one of the most important advocates for children with achondroplasia in America. Because Zach's health is not just his private business. It is part of why Little People, Big World mattered. It is part of why his work with his children matters. And it is part of why his openness about his journey has, in some ways, been one of the most important contributions any Roloff has made. Let us start with the genetic reality. Zach Roloff was born on May 10, 1990, in Oregon, the twin brother of Jeremy. From the moment of his birth, Zach had achondroplasia dwarfism. Achondroplasia is the most common form of dwarfism in the world. It occurs in approximately 1 in every 40,000 live births. It is caused by a mutation in the FGR3 gene, which affects how cartilage converts to bone during development. The result is short limbs, distinctive facial features including a prominent forehead, and a range of related medical challenges that can affect the spine, the legs, the skull, and the central nervous system. Most people with achondroplasia live full, healthy, productive lives. But the condition can come with serious medical complications, and Zach was unlucky enough to encounter many of them. His mother, Amy, who herself has achondroplasia, had not experienced the more severe complications of the condition. Zach, by contrast, would face them in escalating waves throughout his life. The first major medical challenge of Zach's childhood was related to his legs. People with achondroplasia often have bowed legs as their bones grow disproportionately, which can put significant stress on the knees, hips, and back. Surgical correction is often necessary to prevent long-term mobility problems. For Zach, that meant a major childhood surgery in which doctors literally had to break his legs in 3 places to insert corrective metal plates. Read that again. Surgeons had to break his legs in 3 places. 3 deliberate fractures in each leg, placed precisely to allow the bones to grow and heal in a straighter alignment. The metal plates were inserted to hold the bones in position during the healing process. This was not a minor procedure. It was a significant orthopedic surgery that involved months of recovery, physical therapy, and pain management. And Zach went through it as a child. As a young boy who was supposed to be running around the farm with his brothers and sister, he was in casts, in wheelchairs, doing exercises, going to follow-up appointments. The medical reality was part of his childhood from the very beginning. The next major medical intervention in Zach's young life was the brain shunt. People with achondroplasia have an increased risk of hydrocephalus, which is an abnormal accumulation of cerebrospinal fluid in the brain. The condition occurs because the openings at the base of the skull are often smaller in people with achondroplasia, which can restrict the normal drainage of fluid from the brain. If untreated, hydrocephalus can cause severe complications, including pressure on the brain, neurological damage, and even death. The standard treatment is a surgical procedure to install a shunt, which is a hollow tube that is placed in the brain to drain excess cerebrospinal fluid and redirect it to another part of the body where it can be safely reabsorbed. According to Johns Hopkins Medicine, the surgery is considered serious, but is typically completed in about 1 hour with a short hospital stay of a few days. The shunt itself, once installed, becomes a permanent piece of medical hardware inside the patient's brain. It works quietly, doing its job year after year, ideally without complications. For Zach, the shunt was installed when he was a child. It worked, for the most part, for decades. But shunts do not last forever. They can clog, malfunction, or fail. And that is exactly what happened in 2023. Before we get to the 2023 emergency, it is worth understanding what life with the shunt was like for Zach in the years leading up to it. Beyond the shunt, Zach has dealt with degenerative disc disease, a condition that affects the cushioning between the vertebrae of the spine. People with achondroplasia often experience spine-related issues as they age, including spinal stenosis, herniated discs, and chronic pain. Zach has talked openly about the back pain he has lived with for years. He has talked about the days when getting out of bed is harder than it should be. He has talked about the way these conditions intersect with the ordinary tasks of being a father, like lifting his children, carrying gear, doing the physical work of family life. Zach has also dealt with migraines that are partially related to his shunt and the cerebrospinal fluid pressure it manages. The migraines, when they were at their worst, included nausea, vomiting, and the kind of debilitating headache pain that makes basic functioning impossible. Zach has, with characteristic Roloff family humor, joked on his podcast that surgery has become a routine for his family. But the joke contains real truth. The medical interventions, big and small, have been part of his entire life. In late 2022 and into early 2023, Zach's migraines and other symptoms started getting worse. He had been experiencing increasing pressure, increasingly frequent headaches, and worsening overall symptoms. Tori, who has been a deeply involved partner in managing Zach's health, started to be concerned. The symptoms suggested that something was wrong with the shunt. On February 8, 2023, Zach got really sick. The migraines became unmanageable. Tori took him to the emergency room. The doctors there determined that the shunt had failed and was no longer properly draining cerebrospinal fluid from Zach's brain. The accumulation of fluid was creating dangerous pressure. Surgery was required immediately. Matt Roloff, with characteristic transparency, posted on Instagram that day, telling fans that his son was undergoing an important shunt revision surgery. He said the family was in constant contact and communication. He said Zach was in good hands with Tori advocating tooth and nail for his best interest. He asked for prayers. The Roloff family, including extended members, mobilized to support Zach and Tori through the crisis. The surgery itself was successful. The shunt was revised. The pressure was relieved. The migraines, which had been making Zach's life miserable for months, began to ease. But the recovery was not simple. Tori has shared on Raising Heights that the 72 hours after the surgery were terrifying. There were complications. There were moments when she did not know if Zach would fully recover. There was the 2 a.m. call from the nurse telling her that her husband was being moved to the ICU. There was the panic dash through hospital hallways. There was the kind of fear that, even a year later, when she discussed it on the podcast, still made her voice break a little when she remembered it. Zach has called it a near-death experience. It was, in his own telling, the closest he has ever come to losing his life. He has talked about coming back from that experience changed. He has talked about a renewed sense of gratitude for his wife, his children, his family. He has talked about realizing what really matters when everything else falls away. The recovery took weeks. The Roloff family rallied. Amy stepped in to help with the grandchildren. Friends and family brought meals. The community came together to support Zach and Tori. By the end of February 2023, Zach was home, recovering, and beginning the slow process of getting back to normal. The aftermath of the 2023 surgery has reshaped Zach's life in important ways. He has been more vocal about his health. He has been more vocal about the medical realities of living with achondroplasia. He has used his platform, particularly his podcast, Raising Heights, to talk about what his life with the condition really involves. The chronic pain, the medical appointments, the lifestyle adjustments, the ongoing monitoring, the mental and emotional load of living with a body that requires constant care. By being open about all of this, Zach has done something important. He has educated his fans and the broader audience about what achondroplasia actually means in adult life. The show, Little People, Big World, had always done some of this work, but Zach as an adult is doing it in a more concentrated and personal way than the show ever could. Zach has also used his health story to advocate for his 3 children. Jackson, Lilah, and Josiah all have achondroplasia, just like their father. That means they will, throughout their lives, face many of the same medical challenges Zach has faced. The orthopedic considerations, the potential for hydrocephalus, the increased risk of spinal issues, the whole picture. Zach and Tori have made it their mission to make sure their children get the best possible medical care from the earliest possible age. They have connected with specialists. They have made decisions about preventive interventions. They have, by every visible measure, done everything they can to set their children up for healthy lives. In a particularly meaningful moment, Zach and Tori shared that their oldest son, Jackson, had surgery to correct the bowing in his legs. Just like the surgery Zach himself had as a child, the cycle continues. The family knowledge passes down. Jackson, with his father's experience to draw on, will hopefully have an even smoother path through his own medical journey than Zach did. Zach and Tori have also become advocates for the broader achondroplasia community. They have shared resources, they have raised awareness, they have used their reach to connect other families with the same medical realities. Tori told Us Weekly in May of 2022, after the birth of their youngest Josiah, that the family had so many resources and that there were a lot of parents out there who did not have the same resources or the same confidence. The implicit message was clear. Zach and Tori, because of their platform and their access, were going to use that access to help other families. They were going to be advocates. They were going to be educators. They were going to be the parents who other parents of children with achondroplasia could look to and learn from. That is, in its own way, one of the most important contributions any LPBW cast member has made. The Roloff family medical legacy, of which Zach is a major part, is one of the most important things the show ever did. For nearly 20 years, Little People, Big World gave America a window into the medical realities of living with dwarfism. The surgeries Matt had as a child, the orthopedic challenges Zach faced growing up, the pregnancies Amy and Tori navigated, the newborn medical assessments of Jackson, Lilah, and Josiah. All of it was shown in age-appropriate ways on national television. That visibility had real effects. Other parents of children with dwarfism learned what to expect. Families navigating medical challenges saw themselves reflected. Doctors and medical professionals had a more accessible reference point when discussing the conditions with patients. The Roloff family, intentionally or not, became one of the most important medical education vehicles in American reality television. Zach, as the eldest little person of the next generation, has been at the heart of that contribution. His openness about his own medical history has been a quiet form of activism. He has, simply by being honest about what his body has gone through, helped countless other families. Looking at Zach in 2026, you see a man who has come through more than most people his age can imagine. He is 35 years old. He has had multiple major surgeries. He has lived with chronic conditions since birth. He has lost his closeness with his father over the farm dispute. He has built a marriage and a family of his own. He has helped launch a podcast. He has, through all of it, maintained the kind of perspective that only comes from real experience. When he talks about his health on Raising Heights, he is not performing. He is telling the truth. When he advocates for his children, he is not posturing. He is parenting. When he reflects on his near-death experience in 2023, he is not dramatizing. He is simply remembering. And that authenticity has made Zach one of the most respected voices in the broader achondroplasia community. What is next for Zach Roloff? Honestly, the goal is more of the same. More health stability, more family time, more podcasting, more raising his 3 kids, more being there for his wife, more advocating for the broader community. The medical realities of his life will continue. The shunt will need to be monitored. The spinal issues will need to be managed. The migraines will hopefully stay under control. But Zach has shown, through everything he has been through, that he is not defined by his medical conditions. He is defined by his response to them, by his commitment to his family, by his willingness to be open with his audience, by his refusal to let his body's challenges define his soul. That is, in its own way, a profound form of strength. And it is one of the most important things Little People Big World ever taught us. If you are watching this video and you or someone you love is living with achondroplasia or another form of dwarfism, Zach Roloff's story is for you. The medical journey is real. The complications are real. The fear is real. But so is the hope. So is the love. So is the family. So is the community. And so is the possibility of a full, rich, meaningful life lived in a body that requires more care than most. Zach Roloff has shown us all of that, and his story, with all of its surgeries and recoveries and near misses, is one of the most important stories the Roloff family has ever shared. So I want to know what you think. Has Zach Roloff's openness about his health inspired you or someone you love? Do you think the show, Little People, Big World, did enough to educate viewers about the medical realities of dwarfism? Or do you think it skimmed over the hard parts? And do you think Zach and Tori are doing the right things to prepare their children for the medical journeys they will face? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and I really want to hear from you on this one. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to LPBW Update, and ring the bell so you do not miss our weekly Roloff family stories. We are committed to bringing you the truth, the timeline, and the heart of every member of this remarkable family. I will see you on the next one.